Hello! Today this is a sit down video and I'm going to talk about Sophie's birth, like the details that went in my little montage that I uploaded on Friday, and just sort of sit and talk through the birth. Hopefully I don't get too much wrong, but as you can imagine, I was in the middle of giving birth. Brain was slightly foggy with pain, so I may get some details wrong. I'm in my usual Lisa style. I'm just real, unfiltered and basically unedited at this point, so I'm going to try not to take too long. But I am going to say, please, 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 if you want to read, because bearing in mind when I was actually giving birth, like the pushing the child out stage, I was slightly preoccupied with all the agony and the pain and staring at the floor pretty much, so I missed a lot of what was going on behind me because I was on all fours. So if you want to read how Sophie's birth went from like the outsider's point of view, my husband literally wrote a blog about an hour after she was born. It was nice. I'm just laying there getting repaired and he's there on WordPress or whatever writing a blog, so I'll put the link down below. Also, if you want to see or hear how it all felt from Mark's perspective, which is her father, he not only has a blog that I'll link down below, but he's actually starting the Daddy Diaries, and his very first video he's going to be doing this week, I believe, is going to be about Sophie's birth and everything. So as soon as I've got a link for that, I'll put that in the description bar down below. But do come back and keep an eye if you want to know about that, because it's going to be her birth from his perspective. So you've got three-way. Not a fun three-way, by the way, but a three-way on this birth, because there's so many people that were involved in her conception and growth and production into the world. Production, that's the, you know what I mean, my pushing her out. So I'm going to try not to take too long and go over her birth, but bear with me if I get some details wrong because I was in quite a lot of pain. So on Monday, the 10th of September, and for those of you that don't follow me on Instagram, you're a little bit behind the times because I only managed to upload the video on Friday. Had actually given birth on the Monday, but obviously I was ever so slightly preoccupied with, you know, being in pain and stuff post-birth. So apologies for the delay. But as I said, I knew that if I woke up in the morning and hadn't given birth, that was it. I was going to go into labour in the early hours, and I was right. So I'd been up with Edith for a couple of hours. She was talking about, I think it was plasticine, Play-Doh or some inanimate object in great detail for a while. And I was just like, great, thanks, my darling. But actually now I'm really glad I did, because we spent most of the early hours together and we were cuddling and it was actually really nice. But I was very, very uncomfortable having been like holding her and stuff, trying to get her to settle. So I'd gotten up and gone for a wee, and I couldn't face getting back in the bed. I tried to lay down and I was like, oh no, I can't. Edie's taken up too much of the bed because she was sleeping in with us, and I was really uncomfortable. So I started walking around, and then it's somewhere between 4 and half 4. I remember messaging my friend Marta at 4:24, and I knew I'd gone into labour. Like, I knew it was labour at that point. And I think I told the guys beforehand. So in my head, I was going, it was 59 minutes, but I think it was more like just under an hour and 20 minutes for the entire labour. Yeah, so it was way better than Finley's. It was a lot calmer than his. It's possibly my favourite birth yet, bar Alice's. It was, well, I liked Seth's as well, but on calm, good, positive labour, it was absolutely amazing. Had I had a birthing pool at the end, it would have nailed it. But as birth goes, it was beautiful and it was calm, and it was just a lovely experience in an odd way. For having an immense amount of pain, it was great. So I couldn't settle, and I got up pain. I went, oh, I think it's a contraction. And I waited and I got another one. So I'm like waking Darren up. I'm like, Darren, I'm in labour, get up, got to ring the guys. I've come downstairs. I've gone, oh, I'm definitely in labour, because I'd had another contraction when we were on the phone to Mark and Mark. If you went upstairs, I got dressed because I didn't want to go in wearing my Disney pyjamas, but I kind of loved the fact that I went into labour wearing Disney pyjamas. And I threw a bit of powder on my face, which is why I look a bit ghostly white in one of it, because I clearly didn't blend. I was just like, it was mainly for the sweat. I'm not going to lie. It was mainly a sweat absorption because I started to go red and my face got sweaty, and I was like, blot it, make me look human. So we wait for my mum. We've rang my mum really quickly and we're like, could you come round and take the kids to school in the morning? I'm really, really sorry to disturb you. Thankfully she'd gone for an early night, so she was like, by 5 when we called her, about 4:30 in the morning or whatever time it was, she was like, yeah, I'm fine, I was, you know, it's only 2 hours less sleep. So she comes pootling around. My mum is an absolute legend. I could not love that woman more. She's just amazing. So she's come around, so I'm not worried about the kids. We get in the car. Obviously I have a contraction in the car. I'm trying to like live stream little bits or film it as if they share it as a live stream, because I was going to do that and I ended up not doing it in the end. So we'll get to the hospital. Darren drops me off at the front. I walk in with a lovely lady that had her baby prematurely that day, was going out for some air. And she walked with me. She was so lovely. I really hope she and her little girl are doing well. Darren caught up with me by the time I'm buzzing into the ward, and they've changed things a little bit on the labour and delivery, that you now go into triage, and the woman's looking me up and down and she's like, do I send you to triage? Do I not? And I was the one, I was like, I'm fine. This is so much calmer. It's probably going to be a couple of hours yet. Really wasn't. I was like, I'm fine to go into triage. She's like, can you do a wee sample? I'm like, yes. I go and do a wee sample. I go into triage. I take my leggings, because I'm living in leggings. Take my leggings and my pants off. She examines me, and I think it was the exam. Something tipped me over the edge. And so at that point, I'd had maybe 10 contractions that were just like, I could breathe through. If you've seen the video, you know what I mean. I was like, it's fine. They hurt, don't get me wrong. They were definitely contractions, but they were not contractions, you know, where I needed to worry. Nothing like Finley's birth, nothing like Edith's. It was all very calm and I was fine. I could have talked through them if I wanted to. So she does the exam and I feel something change. I said to her, just, you know, once I hit 4 centimetres, I tend to go quickly. And I was like, a good 4 to 5 stretchy or whatever they say at that point. And she was like, oh, okay then. And I got off of the bed and I went, oh, wow. And that was the first contraction that properly hurt. Like there was a proper ow contraction. And I'm like, this is it, we're kicking off. And maybe a minute, half later, and she's gone off at this point. I feel really bad because now I got big passive aggressive because she didn't come back. And I'm like, this is going now. Well, she's coming, end of. This midwife's disappeared, bless her cottons. I think she just went to get the room ready. But I couldn't, my brain wasn't really working. So with the next contraction, I made noise. And usually the only time I ever shut up is when I'm giving birth. I think that's why Darren lets me be a surrogate, because he just gets quiet for a while. So she goes off and I just decided to make noise having the next contraction, because this is my second one that hurts. And I'm like going, you know, that noise that you hear on one every minute? That was me. I did good. And I properly was going, like somehow making that noise is going to work. But it did, because the lady from reception was like, where's your midwife gone? I was like, don't know. And she's like, you sound like you're progressing. Let's get you in a room. So my midwife, bless her, at this point must have heard me and comes tootling back quite quickly. She was so lovely. I feel bad for being a bit of a cow, but I was just like, I don't know how to go. Excuse me, where are you? Brain didn't think. So I just like, I'm going to make noise contracting like a cow and call her to me that way. And it worked. So we get to the room, and bearing in mind, I've had 2 contractions that properly hurt. And I'm thinking, couple hours. I get to the door and I went, oh, this is another big one. So comedy sketch moment. I'm glad Darren did his blog. You need to read it because it is so funny. But I got to the door and I was like, this is serious. And I don't want to go on all fours with my arse at the door. So anyone that walks in just sees Lisa's rectum as they walk in the room. No, I did that with Finley. My mother's never gotten over it because she came to get the kids and she saw everything that she did not see since I was out in nappies. Just on display. And I thought, no, I'm not doing it. So in my logical labour brain, because apparently I'm very logical when I'm in labour, I like run fat pregnant labour lady around the bed, and I'm proper chunky anyway, and get to the other side of the bed, which has a way less space down there. Like there's like a couple of meters at push, and I'm like, yeah, let's go down there. That'll make sense. Anyway, so, and then I feel like I look at the bed and I think, no way I'm making it on that bed, because I was going to get on the bed and go on all fours because, you know, softer landing for babies and stuff, because I knew it was just, that was it. And I was thinking, you know, I've got a couple of contractions. Oh, I did not. I got 3. So I'm not complaining, hence that was an amazing birth. So I get there, I can see the bed and I'm like, not going to make it, so just get on the floor. As you do. Who doesn't want to give birth on the floor? I keep doing that now. And I'm on all fours, and I'm like, must be on all fours. And then I'm like, oh, crowning. No, I think it said, she's coming. And the midwife's like, you're only at 4. And I went, crowning. Because at this point, I'm like, oh, baby's coming. And I feel a drop, and I feel the burn, and it's stretching, and it's burning, and it hurts. And I'm like, and then she's like, oh, you really? Okay. And this is where I don't know what happened. It was all going on behind me because I'm on all floors. I'm on all fours on the floor. And Darren's got the rest of this. He's like, there was a diving midwife who literally dove over the bed, practically upside down to catch Sophie as she comes out. To me, it felt like 10 minutes. To Darren, apparently it was 2. And I'm in my head and I'm going, pant, pant, don't push through, you will tear, you do not want to tear, be calm, breathe, don't panic, it's temporary, it's all good, she's coming, she's safe, and I've got all this stuff going through my head, and I'm like, and I'm trying to stop myself from pushing, so I'm sort of clenching, which by the way is not helpful, but my body's trying to push anyway, so for some reason I'm like clenching and pushing, which probably didn't help with the tearing thing. And in the end, I'm like, I'm just gonna have to go for it. I'm just gonna have to go and try and control it. So I'm trying to like not push automatically. I'm trying to push little bits. I'm trying to breathe. And apparently I'm no good at it and I tear every time. And I am gonna have to do a separate video about the vaginal tearing because it's quite sort of in depth. And I don't want to freak anyone out. I don't want to give anyone negative impressions that isn't here for that. But if you do want to hear more about how my birth goes genital wise, there will be a separate video that if you just keep an eye out for that one. But obviously if you don't want to hear about that sort of thing, I'm not going to force you to actually acknowledge it, but I'll just let you know I did tear and it was impressive even for me. So fun to cough and sneeze, it's great at the minute. She was out, she was caught, she was on the floor, and they go, oh no, you had quite a bit of meconium there. And I'm like, oh, for the love of God, child, because I know that means staying in observations. And apparently she did a massive poo. It was classed as significant meconium. I was like, cheers, kid, thanks for that. Crapping inside me, like I haven't done enough for you, though. To be fair, I did do nothing but moan for the last few days, so it was probably her getting back at me. I was going, get out, child, get out, you're not my favourite. Seth's my favourite, he came at 37 weeks, and she was like, well, stuff you, I'm taking a crap in you. And to be fair, can't begrudge her it. Fair play, kid, fair play, you were born with sass. So she's out, Darren instantly rings Mark and lets them know, and they were like, what? She can't be. We're only on the Dartford crossing. And he's like, yeah, well, she's here. But she was safe and that's what mattered. And the midwives were so considerate. They left her cord really long. They didn't weigh her. They didn't take any of her like measurements or anything. They waited for the guys to come so they could be there and find out that, you know, have that moment themselves, which I just, oh God, the midwives were so lovely. They were so unbelievably wonderful, which is why I feel really bad for being passive aggressive and noisy at the beginning, because I just feel like a cow, because they're just absolutely just wonderful people. So they get me onto the bed, they lower the bed because the bed was quite high. You know, I was not going to be getting back on there having given birth, but as I stand up I feel the blood coming and I'm like, oh, here we go. But it felt like nothing. Like I was like, oh, I even said to Darren when I got in bed, that was hardly a bleed, that was fine. Ends up apparently it was a postpartum hemorrhage. Now, I obviously may have not noticed some bleeding when I'm pushing her out or afterwards because I was on all fours. I just remember that my shoes were filled with blood and Darren had to like get rid of them because I couldn't wear them again. They were absolutely floating in the stuff. So in hindsight, there was a bit of blood, but I must have missed some because I remember getting on bed and thinking, no, I've hardly bled at all. It's fine. Darren's walking up the front path, so he's just looking at me. Now he's being creepy. So, yeah, I was, you know, it's all fine. Ends up, it was a postpartum hemorrhage. They hooked me up. Still got the mark on my hand. Hooked me up to a hormonal drip. And so that was fun. And then they put me in stirrups to repair me. And unfortunately, it's because Darren's home. Unfortunately for me, the repair job took a little bit of time. So the guys got there and they had to be held in the waiting room for a little bit whilst they finished stitching me up, because at my request I didn't really want the guys walking in with my legs up on stirrups. If you've seen my montage video, I'm looking at tiny baby sucking a thumb. You can see one of my feet up in the air because they literally were sewing me, or actually they weren't sewing me at that time, they were waiting for their local anaesthetic to kick in. And the guys hadn't turned up at that point. They turned up towards the end. I think it was only the first, it was about half an hour they missed, wasn't it? Unfortunately, because it took about an hour, was it an hour and a half or so to repair me?
Quite a while, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So that was a bit of a bummer, can't lie, but needs must, and I'm very, very grateful for it because she did such a good job. And there is a comedy moment to the stitching as well that I'll touch on quickly because the midwife started doing it and then she went, yeah, bailing, it's too much for me, I'm getting a doctor. And she's like, I'm really sorry, but yeah, this is out of my skill set. I'm getting someone else in. And I was like, great. So the doctor came and she went, oh yeah. And I was like, why does everyone do that? They look at my vagina and they're like, buggered. Thanks. So that's why I'm doing the vagina monologues. I'm totally doing it. So you'll have to keep an eye out for that video. But yeah, it took a while to repair things, and there was a whole different kind of tear that I've never had before, and I don't want to experience again because it's not nice. But eventually they were done. They cleared me up, and the midwives were so good. They like put the curtain across. They were really excited for Mark and Mark meeting their little girl. It was really adorable. They were just amazing. Between the lot of them, they were absolutely breathtaking. Amazing, amazing ladies. I think they were just, oh, lovely. And then Mark and Mark came in. If you've seen my montage video, you'll see how that went. And that's pretty much her birth itself. It was really, really good. I think there was only, what, 3 contractions that properly hurt. That was it, 3. I cannot complain. I mean, I can complain about the pain when I was pushing around because that really, it hurt. But she's here, she's safe, she's 1 week old today. I cannot believe it. She's so, so loved, and it was an amazing experience. If I could have just made my skin slightly stretchier down there, it would have been perfect. Or a water birth, or both of those things. Perfect. But yeah, it was really good. If you've got any questions or anything, leave them down below, because I might do a clarification video answering any questions anybody has and posts below, sort of Q&A type thing. As I said, Mark will be doing his daddy diary, so keep an eye for a link on that. Darren did a blog talking about my birth, so that is well worth reading because it made me laugh anyway. So that will be in the description bar down below. And I'm going to get off because this is ridiculously long and nobody wants to look at my face for any great length of time because it looks like this. I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.